So what I was just showing you are some photographs that I have edited in Photoshop. And what I like about each of those images is there's a lot of sky. So almost a minimalistic quality to them. But more importantly, what I like are the subtle tones and hues, especially how they transition from one part of the image to the other. And so with some editing, I can maybe add a little more color, make a boring sky look a little more interesting, or just enhance the mood of the scene with just some subtle, very easy, natural looking edits. So in Photoshop, what I do is I apply a gradient mask, and that allows an easy transition from one part of the scene to the other. I have two strategies. One is to use solid color, and the other is to use a photo filter. So I'm going to show you both strategies, and I'm going to use this image that you see here, and I'm going to show you some edits to come up with this edited version that you see here. So I have my image here in Photoshop, and you can see I've already made some edits to this. But now what I want to do is I want to change this top portion of the sky and add a little color to it to contrast this bottom portion. So I have two strategies that I could use. And I'm going to start with the first one here by going down to the Adjustment Layers menu, and I'm going to open Solid Color. Now don't be alarmed by this. This is not a permanent thing here. It opens up the color picker window, and this is where I can choose a color, and there's so many options here: saturated, unsaturated, dark, bright. I can change the hue, all of these options here. So I'm just going to pick something in the reddish hue area here, and I'll start with that for now. Remember, I can always go back to this and change this at any time, as you're going to see. Alright, so what I have here is a layer with the solid color. Notice that you also get a mask, and when it is white, completely white, it means whatever effect you have here is completely revealed. So, reveal, and if I want to conceal all of that, come up to Properties. I have my mask highlighted. Properties, I can hit Invert, and look, all concealed, and I can see my image as it was before I applied this solid color. Alright, I am going to go back to Reveal. Now, what I want to do now is, I want to make sure my mask is highlighted, is I'm going to apply, over here to the left, a gradient tool. Alright, so my gradient tool is going to allow a portion of the mask to be revealed and a portion of it to be concealed. And it does it in a way that it transitions. If you come up here, you can see white to black in this transition here. So the revealed portion is the white portion. Alright, and that's going to be applied to this layer. Now, up here, if you've never used the gradient tool, you're going to see all these up here. This is default. I'm not going to change any of these things. I'm not going to check or uncheck anything. I'm going to leave opacity at 100, mode is normal. If you look at these icons here, these are options, and this is just, I'm not going to go into detail about the differences with these, but this one here is the linear, and this one here is the radial and angle. Sorry, I keep messing up the little names there. Diamond gradient, reflected, angle, radial, and linear. I'm going to keep it on linear, and I'm not going to go into details again. I'm not going to go into details about these guys, but I'm choosing linear. Now, open this up, and you should see this menu here. At the top is basic, and you can see all these colors. Ignore all that for now. All we want is we want a reveal to conceal. And so with the basics, we're going to get that. and the transition is nice and smooth. If you're not sure about that, click on that and it opens up this gradient editor. Smoothness should be 100%. We want a gradual change from reveal, that's the white, to conceal, that's the black. Okay, now one last thing. If you look down here, foreground is white, background is black. I can switch those. Take a look at the top up here. Notice how that changes. All that's telling you is that when you have your gradient tool, here's my gradient tool right here, when you start up here, whatever the foreground is, that is what you will get at the beginning of your gradient tool line that I am dragging, I'm clicking and dragging, that I am creating across the image. So basically what I did is I started with the foreground, which is the revealed portion. And you can do the bottom up and look at the effect you get here. Okay, now, so just keep that in mind. You can switch that out. It doesn't really matter. It just depends on how you want to apply the gradient tool. So since I want the top portion to be revealed, I click and drag down. I don't have to go as far as the end. I can stop right there, and you can see how it applies to a portion. And then I can do something like that. Take a look at how the transition is not as gradual. The longer the line is, the more gradual the transition is. So what I want to do is I want to kind of maintain that transition somewhere up in this area. All right, that looks good for now. I can go back and change at any time. Now, what I don't like is the color. It just doesn't look natural. So I'm going to highlight my layer again, and I double click, and guess what? I get my color picker again, so I can change this. And what's nice is now I can kind of see, I can see how these changes are applied. And I want it to be a little more subtle, so I'm just going to do something like that. We'll leave it like that. Now, take a look at this. Before, after. Before, after. I'm losing all my detail up here. All it is a solid color. Not liking that. How can I fix that? Very, very easy. All right, right here where it says normal, this is your blending mode for layers. You can open that up and you get this interesting list of options here. So at the top is normal. Now if I just drag down, notice in the image the changes. Some of these are really odd, and they're just not going to apply to what we're doing. These tend to darken what you see. I like that. That's kind of nice. Whereas these down here tend to brighten. Kind of strange effects there. And then you have overlay. Oh, look at overlay. Overlay is nice because it really helps to maintain the contrast. Soft light, a little more subtle on the colors. Kind of like that. So that's nice. I like that overlay. And if I don't like that color, still I can go back and I can change that. Maybe even change the hue a little bit. Something like that. Maybe. So again, you can change at any time, any of these, the blend mode, the color, the gradient mask. One last thing that you can change is the opacity. So you can come here, and if you just want to reduce the saturation, that's one way of doing that. So take a look. Okay, so that's one strategy for kind of giving this image a little more mood, a little more contrast in colors, making it a little more interesting. And if you want to go darker, that's kind of neat how that happens. So all right, I'm just going to drop that into the trash can and delete that and start over. Let's go to strategy 2. All right, I'm going to come back down here to our adjustment layer menu. This time we pick photo filter. All right, once again, you get a mask, complete reveal. And what happens is Photoshop defaults to the warming filter. So up here at Properties, you can see what's going on here with the mask, not the mask, but the layer highlighted. I can come up here and I can make changes. So this warming filter, so take a look here with this highlighted right here. I can just scroll, take a look at what changes. So you're seeing cooling filter applied, and you have red, you have orange, and it goes all the way through all your options. I'm going to come back up here to warming filter, and in fact, I am going to change it to red. Okay, now because the mask is completely revealing, obviously the effect of the photo filter is being applied to the entire image. I don't want that. I want to select this top area and have a nice gradual transition to the bottom portion. So we're going to highlight our mask again, and you got it. We got the gradient tool again. So we're ready to go. We don't have to change anything up here. And we start at the top again, and we just draw our line down as we wish. I like that. That's nice. Notice how subtle that is. And also notice how you don't lose detail in the clouds. That's the nice thing about photo filter. And if I have to choose between this strategy and the other one, I generally pick this strategy. It just seems easier and more subtle effects as well that I can control. Here's one way that I can control this. Take a look here. I've got my mask over here, but I'm highlighting the layer. And you come up here, I can change this if I want. I can also change the density. So take a look at that. Little more saturation going on there. I like that. This preserve luminosity, take a look at that. If you want to make it darker or not. You lose a little contrast that way, but however way you like it. And you can change the color here. So if I go in here, once again, the color picker, I'm going to leave it as it is for now. Okay, so the color, the filter can be changed, the mask can be changed, but you can also remember, once again, you have your opacity option there, okay, which is really similar to the density effect that you see here. And I can also change the blend mode. So let's see what happens there. Well, that's interesting. Let's come down to overlay. What overlay is doing is it's giving a greater contrast. So there's overlay and there's normal. Overlay, normal. It might be a little too much of a contrast, not as subtle of a change from here to here. So I kind of like that as it is. So there you go. That is how you can apply various hues of color to your images in a subtle, natural way.